This is the page that or the set of tabs that I created for the free project management tools, just to show you visually what they look like, so if you decide to go out and explore them a little bit. Thinking about it. We'll flip over to projects. Projects, nice looking, very clean, very neat. Good video. Pricing options, I think you get 30 days free. Yeah, 14-day free trial, and then you can start to upgrade. You know, if you want to play around with all of them, go for it. There are, you know, as many different ways of looking at information as there are people, so some of these tools certainly could be very useful for you. The ones that I've seen, I think you get as much with the free options that I showed you. Again, I really like 5 p.m. I like the look. I like the fact that there's a mobile edition. Now that's going to become more important in the future. Some people do not have an interest in that right now. So you get what you pay for. Basecamp, again, probably a lot of people have heard of it. There is a teeny tiny free option somewhere down here, I think. 37 Signals is the company that does Backpack, Campfire, High-Rise, a number of different web-based tools. One of them has a real small free option. I don't think this is it. But this is very similar to some of the tools that are based on kind of similar looking to Basecamp. Again, you kind of get your projects up across, you have multiple projects, you get multiple tabs. You can have interactivity with a lot of different people within the organization. A lot of those features are available to you. And Gantt project was free, and then when I put this together, oh, it still says free. This one is, the reason I put this in here, this one is desktop based. So you can download it, put it on your desktop. If you're a desktop fan or your organization doesn't want to work in the cloud, this is an option for you. Really heavily on the Gantt charts, really heavy on the charting functionality. If you're not a chart person, it might not appeal to you, but that is a desktop-based option. Questions, projects, management, administration. I know, sometimes it's a tough job, but someone has to do it, right? And I think if they're collaborative, it does make it a more useful tool. Although if you're solo, a standalone, there are definitely options with these tools that you can share the status of the project with your clients. That's a great option to give them. Helps them to know what they're paying for. Helps them to know the status of the project. It's a great communication tool with those clients. So let's move on to communication. Let's go back, show the slide, G. Communication, contact management. Jump back here. E-newsletters, video conferencing, and blogging. We could spend a lot of time on all of these, so I need to kind of whip through them, but I want to make sure we give you some good information. Free contact management tools. For some of you, you're Outlook bound. You have Outlook on your desktop. It's corporate-wide. That's how you communicate with people. That's how you keep track of contacts. You don't have a lot of options. However, if you have some flexibility, or if you find that your organization is really contact-driven, a lot of nonprofits, for example, without your contact list, right? I mean, where's your money coming from? Where's your information coming from? How are you communicating with your subscribers or with the members of your organization? How are you learning what it is that they are interested in? My sister works for a museum down in Illinois, and you know, boy, that contact list, that's just everything for them. So there are some high-end tools. For example, in her organization, they use a paid subscriber model for their contact management, and it's specifically set up for museums. And that's great. Depending on your industry, there's a lot of resources available. However, if you're looking for some free or low-cost options, I'm going to jump over here to Batchbook. It's one that I like very much. Their pricing structure is very reasonable. This is just kind of a sample of when you get into Batchbook and you take a look at the dashboard, the layout. It's contact intensive. So you can click on each one of those contact names and get all of that information, address, telephone numbers, emails, and so forth. The thing that I really like about Batchbook that I encourage you to take a look at is it allows you to do a lot of really advanced tagging functionality. So instead of creating lots of folders and stuffing things into folders, we've kind of moved a little bit away from that, thank you Gmail, to tags. So if I have, I can have a whole list of people in my contact management database, some of which are tagged as client, some of which are tagged as vendor, some of which are tagged as partner, and I don't have to manage all of those people using separate functions. The contact management tool is really a form of a database, so I don't have to have separate databases. And by searching, I could go up and search for everybody that I've tagged as client. So if I want to email all of them, Batchbook will allow me to do that. I can use some of the email tools we'll talk about in a minute to send out email newsletters or to send out a broadcast email to everybody within that tag. And Batchbook goes a step further because they create what are called super tags. So a super tag allows you to create smaller tags underneath. And they've actually pre-established, they have a super tag for real estate, for example. They have a super tag, I believe, for marketing. So they've already gone and done the work to say, if you're a marketing person, you're probably going to want information on, client, industry, where met, did I meet them at a conference, did I meet them online, what are their interests, what are their concerns that they have, and you can set up a separate tag for each one of those and then group them under marketing. So it really allows you to do a lot of, particularly if you have a lot of contacts, a lot of real finely grained sorting, which I think is very nice. They do have different pricing strategies. Their basic service is free, which I've used, I played around with. And as you go up in number of contacts as well as number of users, their pricing strategy does change a little bit. But again, for a small business, the solopreneur for $10 a month, that's a pretty reasonable price point. Unlimited number of contacts. All the way up to $100 a month, you could have 100 users. Well, that's, for a lot of large organizations, that may be something of interest. And unlimited amounts of contacts and storage and super tags, and you can just play with that any way you want. So very clean, very neat. I think it's easy for people to get up to speed with Batchbook, so that's a good one that I recommend taking a look at. The one that I've gotten to be a little more intrigued with lately is called Javelin. I like Javelin because their interface is very clean, but also they have more functionality for the price, which is free. I can store up to 250 contacts, which for a business of my size, is very reasonable. Unlimited opportunities and unlimited cases. So I can actually segment those people if I want to keep track of on a project basis. Some of these other tools set limits on the number of projects I can establish. But here within Javelin, I could have an unlimited number of projects. So I like the fact that it gives me some of that flexibility. Upgrade, the professional edition is $12 a person per month. Again, for an organization, that may be well worth it. This is a little small. Instead of jumping into Javelin, we'll just kind of just sort of look at the screenshot here. Again, you get sort of the details of the contact. You can track your history with them when you do an email. This is true for Batchbook as well, and probably for a lot of the other contact tools. When I write an email to people, I can use the BCC, the blind carbon copy field. And in Javelin and in Batchbook, you create a Dropbox. And I just start to type drop, and it fills in that whole email address. And it sends a copy of every email that I send through Gmail into Javelin or Batchbook. So now I have a record within the contact management tool of all the things that I've talked about with my colleague or my client. Some people use Gmail, or they might use Outlook to track all of those conversations. That certainly is useful, but I like being able to see that record of conversations right underneath that particular contact. Plus I can see in some of these tools, did I invoice them? Did I send them the handouts? There's a nice way to have a record of that contact that I've had with that person. Newer versions of Outlook do a little bit better job of that, but if you're really heavy into contact management, one of these tools might be quite useful. And this is Zoho. Let's go back to Zoho. For the big screen. This is Zoho CRM, Customer Relationship Management. Zoho has an entire suite of tools.